Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes. And
One second.
He's getting his workout in.
That's my max. That's my rep max. I'm wearing Dunigan. Spencer, I came in here. Spencer had a fucking shake weight just here. I'm like, how the fuck did this get here?
We had a $5 coupon at Big Lots and it was there. It was like, $5, sure. And it was practically free, actually. They're practically giving them out at Big Lots. You just have to buy $20 worth of groceries.
Well, even like $5, you wouldn't like go to, I'm surprised you didn't go to the used DVDs or something.
Yeah. It was one of those ones more actually Laura wanted to try it out more than anything else.
Alright. Pin it on the girlfriend.
But it's actually, you actually do start it. It's more intense than you think.
I know, my arms are getting a little tired. I'm going to put it down. Okay.
You know? It's like, it's the lighter one, but whatever.
They have different classes of them. I guess it makes sense.
I have a 3 pound and a 6 pound.
I know they have a special one like I saw an ad for it. It was like shake weights for men or something like that. And just see this dude ripped with glistening muscles, the shirt off, doing it. When he was done, I was like, whew, like what a workout, you know?
I remember buying into other like workout things because all those things, those workout things, there's not a single one of them that don't work. They all work. They might be gimmicky, but they do work. But there was one. Do you remember the ab belts?
The shock things?
Yeah.
The things that Bruce Lee would use when he write?
Sort of, but like they're made like, just, actually it's like the same thing as that, but they made these ones, I can't remember what the official name was, but I remember like, we bought one at GNC once, and you put it on, and it had like level between like 1 and 100, and I remember it was like, well fuck, if I'm gonna go, drive like, down to Modesto, I'll put this fucking belt on, and I had to like crank it up, till like where it was like at 90 or something like that, which is probably dangerous while driving.
Yeah.
And when it does,
shaking and shit.
Is like, and it works, but the way it works is like every 10 seconds or so, like it shoots this kind of like electric charge, and it kind of just makes you go like, ooh, and like squeeze in your abs and really flex them really hard. So you're driving down the road, you're like, ooh, oh, okay, we're going again. And then it goes like,
when I find that it takes a lot of effort for me just to like squeeze in and suck in my stomach, that's like, okay, I gotta start working out again. That's kind of like my hand. Like when it's a fucking workout, just trying to suck in my gut. Like, okay, it's
when you get out of the shower and then it goes over the towel rack and you're like, oops.
Yeah.
That's done.
Haven't had it there yet, but you know.
But you know what I'm getting really excited for though? The more and more I keep reading about it is Batman Arkham Knight.
Oh yeah, I finally saw the trailer to that.
It's just, I kept reading more and more stuff on it. And, like, things like, it was talking about the Batmobile. And, like, the size of memory or whatever the Batmobile is in that game would take up an entire Xbox 360 disc.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like, it's a full DVD on just the Batmobile. And even the character models, they're, like, one of those ones, each character has more, like, polygons or whatever than the entire game of Arkham Asylum.
And plus, there's like the actual Rocksteady was working on this in secrecy while Origins was being released. Correct?
Yeah, like since they used like their other team of Montreal or whatnot to do the Origins one, they've been working on this really ever since Arkham City. So they've been putting. It's not like it's one of those ones like, oh, okay, it's because at first when I first saw it, I was like, boy, that was quick. It was like a 1-year development.
Yeah.
I was like, was that
I had
it?
my hopes low, then I actually saw the trailer, and then I saw the thing in game.
I didn't have my hopes low, but I just kind of said like, oh,
well, not low hopes. Like I'm sure it was going to come out being a decent game, but I didn't think it would be kind of like that Arkham Asylum, the Arkham City jump, where Arkham Origins, and it's not like, I mean, that one, still a good game, still totally worth playing, but it did us like,
it's more of the same.
It's more of the same, but even in some ways, I mean, more of the same aside, it just felt kind of lazy just for how quickly they slapped it together there's all the glitches and all that.
Yeah, there's like that kind
I mean, it doesn't kill the game, but it's still, it holds it down from being what it could be, which this one looks like, well, if this one is as good as it looks, then I totally take that. I totally take what,
Yeah, and it's sort of like almost one. It sounds horrible, but you can kind of blame all the little pitfalls of like Origins on the Montreal team. It's one of those ones. Once you hear that, you're like, oh, thank the Lord, it wasn't like the original team. That's the reason why.
Well, I think it's one of those things. It probably was like well, we got to give them their dose of Batman just to hold them over for a little while it's still in their minds. And on top of that, like it probably wasn't even their fault. It was probably like, like Warner Brothers Entertainment wanted it out there by this date. Like, well, it's not done. Well, I don't give a fuck. We'll put out a patch later.
Yeah,
but now
Batman comes out in October,
But they've recently said there's some patches they're not releasing just because they don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything.
I think they did release the patch. I just never went to. By the time those patches came out, I was like, well, I'm already done with the game.
Yeah. Well, there's one Riddler Tower. So not everybody, but some people can't get into like a Riddler Tower, and I think I came to that because like I broke the thing, but it wouldn't open up. So
I remember that too. That happened to me as well.
So that's.
And then after a while, I was like, "Fuck this! I'll just go do something else."
And so then people are angry because they haven't released a patch for that tower, and that's stopping you from getting 100% on the game.
Oh, that's silly. But because the only fear I always have is like they said it like something where like. At first, it was just they weren't going to have the Arkham Origins. It was just going to be they're going to work on Arkham Knight. But they're like, well, people don't want to wait 3 years for a game. And it's kind of like, when it comes to video games, there's enough video games out there. I'm like, be my guest. Like, games aren't movies. I feel a movie, it's like, I don't really like, I hate having to wait so long for a movie. But a video game, I understand that like there's a lot more in it. And plus, we always mostly learn that the more time you take, the better the game turns out.
Exactly.
You know, I always use the example of like, look at Resident Evil 4. That took 6 years or something, because that was, they were working on that since 2000. They were talking about it.
Skyward Sword took some time, didn't it?
Well, Zelda's another example. But all those Zelda games, I mean, like Twilight Princess took forever. They talked about that. It was almost like after Wind Waker came out and people bitched for so long, they almost kind of like put out these pictures for Twilight Princess, being like, "We're sorry,
please take us back."
Yeah, because that's just like one's like, we know we made a good game of Wind Waker, but we know that the graphics are offensive to like older gamers.
My thing with I look back on Wind Waker, in the heat of the moment, I was kind of like, "What the fuck." But looking back, though, that is still a pretty fun, solid game.
It's one of those ones, because, like, I will say this, though. It's like, so many people, though, I know, didn't buy that game because of the graphics. Like, if there's a reason if that game didn't sell as much as some of the other Zelda games, I know for a fact, because I didn't buy it like that. I played it later on and stuff, but when it first came out, like, I wasn't rushing to get it. I only pre-ordered it just so I could get the Zelda, like, Ocarina of Time pack.
No, I'm not sure if it was limited in graphics, but I was wondering, because, like, given the size of the game and how the world, I mean, there's bigger things now, but at the time, the size of the game and the world and all the boating, I think that game would have been really awesome. I mean, now I've come to accustom and kind of like the toony graphics, and that's a once in a while thing.
Now to me, it's like, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I think it's just, and I think it also, when you're in, like, that teenage, like, high school level, it almost offends you more, because when you're at that point, you're like, what, man? I'm a fucking adult.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you're gonna give me Toon Link? What am I, like, 10?
Give me another fucking Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
No, I think that one right there, like, I think that what would have been really cool was if they had that same story. I mean, even though I'm fine with the graphics now, I mean, I think they're now using, like, Toon Link for more of, like, I mean, they're all part of the chronology, but
there was a lot of Wind Waker stuff that kind of came afterwards where I kind of was like, it was still the part where I was like, Wind Waker Zelda, such a lesser man Zelda, because they had like Spirit Tracks and like the other DS, and I never played those. I think I kind of
Four Sword stuff.
Yeah, the Four Swords had that look to it as well.
Which I think that they're just gonna Toon Link. That's gonna be kind of our look for this more like side Zelda games, not your main Zelda games.
Yeah, so I think they sort of like backed off it, for a while, and they gave you Twilight Princess, which really is the most realistic Zelda you can get.
Which I was thinking, how cool would have I mean, maybe it was limited by its graphics, how much memory and the size of the world, so maybe that's why they did the whole cel shaded cartoon look. But how amazing would have that game looked if it was like Twilight Princess? But just kind of like a Waterworld Twilight. If it had that kind of look, I think that would have been looked really.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like this, keep the pirates. Keep the whole setting, but give it like the realistic graphics instead.
Yeah, keep the game in the setting. Think of how awesome that game would have looked.
I know, I think so too. And like nowadays, whatever. It's like I'll accept like Toon Link. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like
that's my best character, and that's my best character in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
so.
there was a time when he was kind of like the black sheep of like the Nintendo family to me, but. Now it's like, come on in, like Wind Waker, that was a damn good game. There's no denying it. Do I like my more realistic looking Link? Of course, But I'll accept the Toon Link.
Yeah, that's kind of
But back to like I guess Batman, which is not like Toon Batman. Well, there is, I guess.
There will be
Batman Brave and Bold
or whatever.
Yeah, you do that. But no, this one just looks so cool though. And it's like at this point, it's like this to me is the seller of an Xbox One or a PS4.
Yeah, same here.
You know.
And when's the game going to be out? Like October, November?
It comes out in October. It's the same date almost that Arkham Origins did.
It's still going to be a little while before I get one. I'm getting ready to fucking move, so.
But yeah, so it's like, it's one of those ones I'm like, somehow, come hell or high water, I guess I'll have to get one.
Yeah.
Just kind of one of those things. I don't know how, but we'll find it. There's a will, there's a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that to me is like that's selling enough. New Batman game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at first I was kind of going like, do they really need to release one like every single year now? Because I think they were doing
Take away the magic.
since Arkham City. Because there's 2 years between Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, which that's fine. 2 years is good. But once you start doing them it's like Assassin's Creed. I always thought.
Or, I don't know if they come out every year, but it feels like it. Call of Duty.
I think they do too, just about. And to me, I always kind of feel like that sort of brings down like the value of the games, sort of. It doesn't make them nearly as special, and also too, it's like
I mean, we get like a.
If that was the only game, like I always think Assassin's Creed because it's always a long ass game. You got to put a lot of time in and stuff, and then I played a bunch of like Assassin's Creed, but I missed out on one, and it's just like I know for a fact I'll never get to it because they keep releasing other ones out.
Well, we got. I mean, let's think about it for a second.
We get two now.
Well, technically, we get a new Mario game every year, but every new Mario, but like not a new main Mario game every year, right? We get.
Well, back in the day though, think about it though, there was such a gap between Mario games. They were not common. Like you had Mario 64 came out. And, I mean, I guess you could say on the regular Nintendo, you did have quite a bit, because you had Mario, and then you had Mario 2, and then you had Mario 3, and that was all, like, a couple years apart, at least in the U.S. And then, right after Mario 3, I mean, Mario World came out really quickly after that, and then a couple years later or so, you got, I guess 4 or 5 years later, you got Mario World 2.
Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi's Island. Which was actually a new Yoshi's Island, just came out for the 3DS.
I saw something for that.
Looked pretty cool. I'm not too sure it's supposed to be kind of like a new Super Mario Brothers, but in like the Yoshi's Island style. But the upside of that game though is they haven't really like blown that game.
Are you playing as Yoshi still?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's brand new story, and you play as Yoshi, and it's got Baby Mario, and the graphics look the same, and the music seems about similar. I'm wondering if it's one of those ones like. And when I say New Super Mario Bros., I don't mean like it's like in that exact same style, but at least because New Super Mario Bros. It's just been a repeat over and over and over again. New Super Mario Bros. 1 for DS was great. That was fun.
Even Wii was fine.
Then the Wii one came out, and that made sense too, because it's on the console now, But after that, then it kind of been like.
I think since New Super Mario Brothers, there has been a new Mario game out every year now since New Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, so I was gonna say.
Disincluding New Super Mario Brothers, just include that because that's its own franchise.
But I guess what I was really getting at though first, really quickly, was that Mario 64 came out.
Yeah.
And it was a long time until the next Mario game came out.
It was Mario Sunshine.
And that's disincluding Mario Kart and Mario Parties and kind of the spin-off games. It was Mario Sunshine. So, and then even that, it was a long time too, because then we didn't get our Mario game until Galaxy.
So I guess the new Super Mario Brothers was pretty much a good way to come out. This way we have a Mario game every year. I guess it's kind of a spin-off, but at the same time,
I will say I don't almost consider the new Super Mario Brothers games like official Mario games. I guess as far as like Mario 1, 3, World, 64, Sunshine, Galaxy. I don't really consider the new Super Mario because they really, when you break them down, they're just kind of remakes. They're a little bit more creative. It's a remake because it's really just it's the same stories that you've seen before. It's the classic, whether it be Mario 1 or Mario 3 or some Mario World even. And they kind of more ones like remember this when you were a kid playing Mario kind of thing. And they were fun, but there has come a point where it's just like really okay, come on guys. It's like. Don't get me wrong, every single one of them's good. Every single one of them's good. But it's just one of the ones that's just like, it's a been there, done that, and like, how many Mario games do we need that are kind of the same thing?
Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things like, I think this is just kind of a way for them, like, well, this way we got a Mario game that comes out every year that's not Mario Party or Mario Kart. Even Mario Kart's kind of take a while to come out.
Yeah, those ones seem like they take longer than the other ones, even though they're on number 8 coming out soon.
Yeah, even though it's usually kind of like one of those per console. So
yeah, and I think that's kind of nice. It's like every Nintendo system gets their Mario Kart, and they just kind of leave it at that. And I think that's a little bit better.
Mario Galaxy 2, though. We had a Mario Galaxy 2.
Mario Galaxy 2, which sadly enough, I never got around to that.
I never got around to
that. And I hear that one's the better one, too.
And plus, you get to ride Yoshi in that one.
Yeah.
So. My thing with Nintendo is like they like to give you something and just give you a little bit of it. Like, for instance, like in
New Super Mario Brothers.
New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Well, for instance, it's cool because oh, cool, this one you can ride Yoshi again. Then all of a sudden, like, oh, well, Yoshi's only on one stage.
And then he waved goodbye to you
at the end of the level. It's just like, oh, that's bullshit. And remember back in the day, you can do a lot more of that. Or like in
Yoshi, you could bring him anywhere but a ghost house.
Yeah.
A castle.
And he'd be waiting for you when you got out at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like Mario Galaxy, you would be like, oh, you got the fire flower, but you only got it for like 15
30
seconds.
Yeah.
Granted, they gave you a real use for it in the Super Mario Brothers 3D world or whatever it was. So,
yeah.
It's 3D Land or whatever. Yeah.
But I still think to this day, Mario Galaxy was really good. But it's kind of like on the Mario games wise, it's just like I just hope they don't keep doing like the new Super Mario Bros. Things over and over and over and over again to the point where people just get almost like burnt out because they're overflooding the market. And then I go back. This goes back to Batman. This goes actually back to Assassin's Creed. I think Assassin's Creed sort of had that problem too. Where it's just like. Come the fuck back and like
give us time to play other games.
Well, yeah, it's one of the ones like I love Assassin's Creed, but I just kind of like those ones like the third Ezio one. Like I didn't play that one, and it just was ones. There was something else that came out that time.
I never played him past the first Assassin's Creed. I'm like the one person in the world who's like, oh right, the other Assassin's Creed guy.
Yeah, the guy who's not there. You're like, I know the original guy.
The guy that's kind of a douche, just killed some dude at the beginning. Like, fuck him, he shouldn't have been here.
But it's Assassin's Creed. Ever since it's come out, there's been one a year. So even though we say we're on Assassin's Creed 4, we're really on Assassin's Creed 7. Mm-hmm. And I hope just with the Batman games they don't try to do that too, because I did hear something that. This is the last for the London team. This is the last Batman game to do, and then they're gonna work on something else, which that makes sense. Don't get burnt out. Mm-hmm. But they said something about the Montreal one might start making a bunch of Origin ones afterwards. And don't get me wrong, like a Batman's here's the thing. I like Assassin's Creed. I really fucking like Batman.
All set in Origin though.
Yeah, like they'll all lead up to Arkham Asylum, I guess.
Okay. Well, here's the thing with the Montreal team. And I'm going to give them credit. I'm going to assume it wasn't really them. I'm going to assume that it was just
a deadline.
Warner Brothers and their deadline just saying, shove it out there. Well, eventually we'll put out a fucking patch. Don't worry about it. And, I mean, I'm going to give them credit. We'll find out when by the time we get to number 5
or 6
because
the thing about Origins, it has, if you disinclude the glitches and you kind of disinclude the story that, I think to somebody who's not a super Batman fan, it's totally a great one. But when you're kind of okay, we've seen a lot of Joker, and you kind of hinted this whole time at being this other, we're going to get Black Mask as the main character, and we were going to get some other stuff, and then it really,
I just thought Joker was going to be one boss. I thought he was
going to be kind of like one of the assassins, sort of like a Deadshot or something like that.
I thought he was going to be like that, and then at the very end, after Black Mask got his ass kicked, Joker would come up and knife him, or just, kick him to the side or something. I'm running this shit now, and I just assumed it would end that way, which that would have been fine.
Set up for
for Asylum or something.
Yeah, or even I guess by now
before
a sequel
then,
for Origins too.
Yeah, so that's just what I assumed, but whatever, that happens. I'm sure whatever they do will be a good game for the most part.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with the Montreal team. You probably always go well, the London team's the one that kind of set the stone in, and the Montreal one just took it and kind of went with it, but.
I think they did a fine job, and I'm gonna point the finger at Warner Brothers Entertainment for that.
Yeah, for the glitches,
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it's just a deadline thing. But that being said, though, I am really looking forward to this new one. The one thing, I mean, it's not like I'm not trying to shit on someone else being creative, but they said they want to use a new villain.
Well,
Maybe
Jeff Johns is making it though.
I know Jeff Johns is making them, but they said
you don't got faith in the Johns.
I got faith in Jeff Johns. Well. I'll say this. I do like Jeff Johns, and I think he understands Batman, but he hasn't written a whole lot of Batman. He did Earth 1, and beyond that, though, he's mainly Green Lantern, Flash, Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, he kind of does. He sort of does, I guess, the other Justice League members.
Yeah, a little bit
Aquaman.
A little bit of Superman. I'm surprised how little he touches Batman. Now he did a great interpretation of Thomas Wayne Batman in Flashpoint. That was great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm still looking forward to the game, and I'm not kind of oh fuck, come on. I'm just saying, let's have someone else be a bigger focus. Let's have Riddler be a bigger focus, or Two-Face. Maybe he could be in there, but we'll see. It depends on how cool the character really is, or give a chance to a character like Hush.
Well, I had to think too. It's Batman. He's one of the few characters that really has a great rogues list. And the thing about the Arkham,
he looks like a Robo Batman from the silhouette picture.
Yeah, we get the picture there of him, and yeah, it does just kind of. It looks like fucking Metal Batman from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
Batman just jumps on top of him like a fucking bird flies away.
Yeah. So we're gonna have Batman versus Metal Batman, but it's one of those ones at least Two-Face looks like he's gonna be a bigger character. They haven't really said too much, but he's there.
Hopefully he's gonna get like slapped like a bitch, like at the beginning of Arkham City.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, Catwoman can deal with Two-Face because he's just such a bitch.
Which I always
Takes a bitch to deal out a bitch. Tagline for the Catwoman game.
Life's a bitch and so am I. They find a way to fit that in there somehow. No, that was Batman Returns.
Yeah,
okay.
Batman Returns. It wasn't Two-Face that said that.
Tommy Lee Jones, like,
life's a bitch and so am I.
yeehaw! Bang, 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 bang.
Really in Batman like Forever, you almost could have slapped a cowboy hat on fucking Two-Face in that one. And...
You could have. You could have throw a bandana around his mouth and throw a cowboy hat on him. He could have been like vigilante.
Yeah,
an evil vigilante.
Yeah, happened to like get his face burned. He's kind of a mix.
Yeah, well, no, I mean the thing with that is he wasn't playing Two-Face. He was playing Joker.
Jack Nicholson.
Riddler. I mean, you could have not even Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson was still very kind of like.
Well, yeah, but I don't think not like he was playing like exactly, but I think he just kind of looked at that. He's like, it's a Batman thing. He probably went like, there was Adam West and there was fucking Jack Nicholson. Whatever. You put the makeup on, you act crazy, you flaunt yourself out.
And he's so
you gotta have gay looks to.
He has kind of like a really, because usually Tommy Lee Jones is very reserved and very kind of like quiet, and then he just has like maybe a moment or two where he freaks out. And I think that would have been perfect for Two-Face. I honestly think he would have been the perfect candidate to play Two-Face.
Technically, when you think about Tommy Lee Jones, he's actually like,
especially in the 90s.
Yeah, he's really the most ideal choice for Two-Face.
And
but I think it's just
just misunderstanding the character.
I think it was just a misunderstanding. I think it was just, obviously we all know the whole point of that Batman Forever and Batman and Robin was to go back and do the 60s show. That's what it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. It was just like, don't make it dark, just make it like the old days. Make it what people know.
Mm-hmm. Well, even in the beginning when he's giving his evil bad guy speech, you just kind of see a silhouette of him kind of walking around talking to all the hostages. That all works, but then as soon as that's done, he's going back to like, wild and crazy Tommy, So.
Yeah. He really let the cat out of the bag there.
And even Riddler, even like Jim Carrey as Riddler, I mean, there's still some good things he had in there, but he was still a little, because I mean...
It does jump back and forth between like, oh, he's a great Riddler, to being like, oh, now he's just being really Jim Carrey-ish.
Yeah, I think he probably would have been like, I don't know. I kind of like I think what they should do for like a next Riddler, just really just pick and pull from the Arkham games, for like as far as the movies go, just kind of like...
Because the Arkham games, I think that's the best version of like summing up all the Batman stuff, other than maybe like the animated series, but it's almost like the animated series is like, I think, classic and it's got more episodes and stuff, but almost the whole vibe you get from the Arkham Asylum series is really just like almost like the perfect Batman. They've taken all the best elements. They've taken sort of like, let's make it a little bit more serious and realistic, but we still keep our fantasy elements in there. We still make it a little bit like colorful, like, because one of those things, like, I don't like when they kind of like take out the color of Batman. I like a bit of color in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think,
and that's what I think, because in Arkham Asylum, it's like you get this dark, gritty story, and it is like, borderline M-rated. It's not that far off.
It still takes itself seriously.
But you still get, like, it's not being... It's almost in a sense, even though I like the Christopher Nolan ones, it's not being that serious where it's like, let's just try to ground this in reality. It's like, no. Poison Ivy can still be Poison Ivy. And instead, let's make her almost like she's a Castlevania villain. Yeah.
Well, my thing with... I'm totally fine with the Chris Nolan take, just because at that point, we didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, well, and that itself... The Chris Nolan thing, I think it works for what it is. I think... It needs to happen to get to the next level. It's sort of like that's how these movies work. The 1989 Batman one, it's a stepping stone because even though it's still got a bit of camp in it, it is a darker version. And the Christopher Nolan one, it's like even though it's a little too realistic, and it still sets the tone for like, okay, now we got serious Batman. Now hopefully we can combine the two and bring in the real Batman. Where it's a serious story. But there's still that sci-fi fantasy element to it, and there's still color. I like a little bit more color in my Batman. Mm-hmm.
Well, I noticed that they kind of like each movie, as far as the Christopher Nolan ones. Maybe it's just me noticing, but it seems like they kind of use mainly two color palettes throughout most of the movie.
Gray
More
and
than
black.
that, well, no. All right. Well, it kind of depends on the movie. Like, I noticed
Batman Begins feels
black and orange. There's a lot of black and orange.
And that one does feel like, I don't know. That's the one. It doesn't feel nearly as. I guess it still has sort of a bit of sci-fi and even a little bit of fantasy.
Because you got sort of a cyberpunkish type city. Not completely, but I mean, the fact that, like, you don't really see very many cities, like when you go to Zeneros, you don't see very many cities like that, like, in America so much. And on top of that,
ghetto and...
they also played with, there's the part, like, they never come back to it, but there's the part when, it's nothing, like, too advanced, but they it's like right after the part where Joe Chill is killed in the courtroom. Mm-hmm. They're driving away, and Katie Holmes then takes like a sharp turn after Bruce says something stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
Drives down, and there's like that whole like section of the city that's kind of underneath the rest of the city, which that's something you never see before. Maybe it was just a rough cut to like, 10 minutes later, a different part of town.
Yeah.
But she goes down this like highway exit, and there's like pillars keeping up this other. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh huh.
So, and then that's suddenly not really in number 2 or number 3.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like this is where we saw it in Leonard Maltin's review, where I see where he got confused because they just never went back to that section of the city.
Yeah, I mean, well, because like the first like begins mostly takes place just in the ghetto or the Narrows, where everything else in 2 and 3 pretty much takes place in like regular part of Gotham.
Yeah.
And like, but going back to the color scheme though, that one I noticed primarily each one uses black. That one uses like black and orange or yellow. Then the second one uses like a lot of black and a lot of dark blue.
Yeah, blue.
And then the third one I noticed used like a lot of black, gray, and white.
Yeah, it's a very like it's almost close. It could be a black and white movie and you wouldn't really notice the difference.
And this is gonna sound maybe so fucking like film school pretentious, but here I thought maybe this is just a fucking maybe. First one, Batman Begins. Batman works at night, so begins sunset, so we get a lot of like. Colors of a sunset, orange setting, blue, dark colors, night, right, morning, a lot of white and black. I don't know. Yeah, that might be
stretching it, but
that might be what he was trying to do. I don't know.
But that's it's like, and I think that's why Batman Begins has always been my favorite one, because it still feels like that one. It has a bit of the fantasy sci-fi in there, where I feel like 2 and 3 they kind of just take more and more of it out, and so now hopefully with Batman and Superman we'll get. More it's like the fantasy and sci-fi put back into it. Because that's what, that's what I like. It's like, don't get me wrong, I love the Christopher Nolan ones, but they never compare to like the other Batman stuff, like the Arkham Asylum games. And it doesn't compare to like the cartoon show and the comics, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what they do with Batfleck and all that, so. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, this new game though, it's like, it is selling me a fucking Xbox. Or I'll probably get an Xbox One.
Before then, yeah.
Because if I had to choose, I'll choose that. I feel kind of bad, but there was a time in my life where like 10-year-old me would be like, you choose an American system over a Japanese? Like, look at the color of your skin. You're white, but you were raised on anime. As you kind of get older, you're kind of like,
well, listen to 10-year-old self.
They put the joystick up there instead of down below. I like that more, so fuck you, little one.
You punch your 10-year-old self.
It sounds strange, but that's actually like one of the biggest things. Like
that's when the kid pulls out like some kind of looper blunderbuss and blows you away.
And takes his fucking gold. No, not my golden Xbox. I just paid $500 for that.
Puts it right next to his fucking like golden cartridge from like Legend of Zelda on the NES.
But there's this other article I was actually reading in gaming. There's the guy who just got 1 million gamer score on Xbox.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, but like, think about it. 1 million gamer score.
Good for him.
Do you know how many I was sitting there after I read that. I was like, I was in like the shower, so I was doing math, and I was like, you get 2,000 points per game. Just including like if you get some downloadable content, it might add like another 500 or so, 300. But I was like, if you just the bare base level, 2,000 per game, you would have to play at least 500 plus games. And we gotta assume that he's not getting every single one of those, because some of those are stupid. It's like, why would you waste your time if you're just going?
Assume that maybe there's some free time in there too. He has a lot of free time probably.
Well, he must have been sponsored, because he's saying he's playing like video games 12 to 16 hours a day for like a point. And it probably was one that probably like he got an Xbox day one. Like they didn't go into like his biography. They should have really went in there, because I was like fucking like. I want to know. You fucking make me the documentary on this.
Make the A&E biography of this guy.
Yeah, come on.
How sad would it be if he gets all this
behind the games?
The special prize. The special prize is just kind of like an Xbox Microsoft beer cozy or something. That's all it was.
But like in the picture in the article, it said lifetime achievement award, like Xbox Live for life, and I'm like, well, that's.
How about more?
Yeah, it's like, so what? He saves $50 a year. Like, I mean, he got invited to a bunch of like things. He got invited to the Xbox One launch and the big show in New York and yada yada yada. And probably from here on out, maybe people will be throwing him things left and right. But now it's probably well, yeah, you got to keep.
I think you got a lot of people that are going to be very jealous of you. Then actually, kind of like this motherfucker just got to play Xbox for the rest of his life.
Because I was saying, I'm like, I don't know. unless you just worked a real simple job and you had like a place that is already paid for and you didn't have to pay too much but the regular bills, like that's I'm always thinking this out realistically. And plus, I'm like, is there really even like? I mean, obviously there is, but I'm like, define 500 plus Xbox games to play, and like those arcade games aren't really the ones to play because they're kind of like they only give you 200 like gamer score per game, and plus they make them like fucking really difficult to get like all the ones too. It's just like, you're only giving me 10 points. I don't want to play this game for 10 hours just to get like that extra 10. You know what I mean?
I'm just wondering, was he just living like in a shack somewhere with a power cord going to like stretch into like a neighbor's house? We didn't have to pay any rent. He just had a lock and chain like on this shack that he lived in.
Yeah, because there's worlds like I just thought about them like that's at least, I mean, you couldn't, if you went down to any GameStop, there's not fucking 500 Xbox 360 games there. I mean, I know that you can download a bunch of games nowadays, so there's that. But
well, do you get extra? I'm guessing like your score goes up and down depending on how good you are online, right?
No, that is not, because it's just the achievement things.
Oh, okay.
That so every single time you beat a level, you get an achievement. Oh. Or the downfall too is like a lot of games for me. It's like I max out like 900 because it's like, the rest of them you got to go on Xbox Live and play now. It's like, I got what I got.
Yeah.
I got my single player, like my solo ones.
I don't know.
But I mean, you had to go off and play bad games just to get more points.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. It's just like that's so many games.
We salute him for
his
dedication. He is.
I fucking like.
That's
like one of those ones like where like a girl would be like, Jesus Christ, you look, or like your parents almost would be like, Billy, don't fucking look up to this guy now. This is not this is not a role model. And you're like, but Mom, he's like the coolest guy ever. He got 1 million gamer score. That is fucking blowing my mind, man. It's like, look, last week, calm down. Quit drinking the Mountain Dew.
Last week it was the man in sweatpants that hung out at the comic book store talking about Pokemon with you. This week it's this guy.
Yeah, and told you to get in his van. He had a bigger collection back home. It's even to me it's like, even as a grown adult, there's like that kind of like, boy, it's like, even though you kind of go like, wow, that's a lot of time and stuff, I'm like, I still look up to that guy. To me, that guy is higher than any like sports star. That is an achievement in itself. It's like, come on.
They show a picture of what the guy looked like?
Yeah, he looks like an average guy.
All right, that's good. I really want to, because I'm getting really tired of like the nerd like video game like stereotype of what every one of them looks like.
I mean, look at him. He looks just like a regular guy. He's a regular looking fellow.
Oh yeah, he's a regular.
Yeah, he doesn't look
good looking guy.
He doesn't
Yeah, Raymond Cox. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's got the word Cox in his name. He might be related to Courtney Cox for all we know.
For all we know.
Maybe that's how he's in it. Maybe Courtney Cox is paying for all this.
he's like
Courtney Cox is like retarded. Like he's sort of like he's like the wizard.
He's the kid from the Wizard.
Grown up.
Courtney Cox is like taking him across the country, putting him through all these high stakes underground like Xbox tournaments,
so he can get the highest gamer score.
It's like, look, someday this Cougar Town money's gonna run out.
Yeah, it's like I need to have a backup plan.
The Sex and the City money's already almost gone, so... Was she Sex and the City?
She wasn't
Friends.
Friends, yeah.
The Friends money's already almost gone, so look. You seen The Wizard, right?
You are the wizard.
Nah. Well, good for Raymond.
Yeah, I know. I was damn proud of that.
I'm glad he's not like I'm glad he doesn't look like the stereotypical kind of like, just...
Like, these like thick glasses. He's already balding. Mm-hmm. He's like...
Or like anything...
He's like wearing sweatpants though he's in public in New York.
There's the fucking... I never seen it, but I see the stupid ad for it like half the time we go to the movies. That TBS show, like King of the Geeks, like...
Well, that show... That is actually just as offensive as making a show about, like, you can take any race, whether it's black or Asian. It's like having a show about, like, who is king of the blacks, And like, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to have a watermelon eating contest, and we're going to go play some b-ball, and then we're going to eat some fried chicken. And
it's just as, like, discriminatory against that.
It's just, that's how that King of the Nerds thing is, because it's the same thing. It's just, or if you had, like, an Asian team, you're like, well, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to have a shooting contest where they try to see who can be the, most accurate, I think, like, going back World War II. Because that's why they always used to draw, like, Asians with glasses, because they couldn't shoot very accurate. You know, it's like they're gonna have the buck teeth award.
Just something very just perfectly offensive. That's what I kind of.
They're gonna have the shitty walk cook-off event.
Shitty walk cook-off. No,
you know, and then we're gonna have the Mexican one and see like who can like mow the best lawn and take care of the house and all these things. And that's when I see that video game one, I'm like, that's all it is. You're just instead of taking a race, you're just taking a group of people and then really like going like, oh, okay, who's the nerdiest kid out there?
Especially since they look all so fucking annoying too, and they're all like everything just looks so. I mean, I don't want to sound kind of like a conspiracy man, but it all just looks so fucking corporate. Everything fucking about it.
I feel like those people
what are these fucking losers like? I don't know, this Minecraft thing's okay, make the background look like this Minecraft bullshit. Throw in a robot, because nerds fucking love robots.
We all know they fuck robots.
They fuck robots.
You know, Fox News tells us that.
So
so
CBS, real funny.
Yeah, and you
fucking
look,
nerds.
I like those people like those guys have to be fucking actors too. I'm like, they can't be fucking nerds. They are so, or either that or they might be partial nerds, and they're getting dressed up even more nerdy. And it's just they have a script and all. It's just I looked at them like that is so fucking offensive.
Some were like, I never dated a girl before, and I don't really know how to talk to them. Blah. And it's just like they got the guy from Better Off Dead who's like, you know, the street value of this mountain is like a fucking like head of the show or whatever.
Yeah, they got that guy too. He's like the other annoying voice guy.
Which that's actually one of those cases. I mean, I like him in that movie. Yeah. I don't really feel the need to like.
And that guy's probably like, man, I just need a fucking job. Just need a job, man.
He's gotta have something other than that to be. Oh, maybe not.
He's in a couple other '80s movies. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but he is in other stuff. But other than that, that's like
the guy was a druggie in that movie. He wasn't a fucking nerd. He was just a
weird.
He
was just a weirdo. Yeah, he was like a creep
because he came into school with a top hat. He was snorting snow. I think he was snorting Jello. And he tried to like pass it on to like the popular girl, like, you want to hit this or whatever, you know. There always was that weird fucking kid in school, always be like snorting Pixie Stix, like, hey man, it's like drugs, but it's like Pixie Stix, so we can do it. There always that one.
Yeah, I had a bad experience once with a kid that sniffed Pixie Stix.
Did he like freak out? He was on PCP or something?
No. This is one of those ones where like I can't remember. Somehow, some way, I had to wait for the second bus, and now the second bus is the football bus, not the regular kid's bus.
Oh, so like they just look at you and
then like
smear the queer, smear.
No, not necessarily that, because I knew all the people, but there's Anthony played football.
Anthony.
I
wish you give a heads up. We mentioned this guy before on the podcast, and usually we'll try and say, what's her name, or just make up a name. But this guy was like fucking psycho. This guy had like I'm not sure. Maybe he was chemically imbalanced. Like this guy was an old-fashioned like 1950s bully. Like
that's
the guy,
he was the only kid in school.
And he was in fucking high school.
I could say that deserved the title bully.
Because he would like wait around a corner, sometimes beat someone up, and he would always get out of trouble because he just hears this like how many years later. It's just like, I'm coming for you, Dunigan. But no, he would like beat the shit out of people just because he didn't like them. And I mean, he was just a fucking one day he brought a fucking potato gun to school
and started shooting people.
He didn't shoot. He shot like a rival school's bus or something.
Was that what he did?
I think I would have heard about it if he fucking shot somebody, but but no, but I once I mentioned I got into a simple, very quick fist fight in school one day. Not Anthony, but I got into a very simple, quick fist fight, and it was like 3 hits all together, and no one really got knocked out. It was just like fuck you. That was the end of the fight. And I went home for 3 days. This dude would like kick the shit out of people, and then like go to the office, don't do it again. Get back to class.
Well, because his like uncle or whatever was the guidance counselor or what have you.
Yeah.
Well, I remember too also like RJ that was on the podcast in Premarital Death, which by the way, everybody should go
vote them.
Yeah, vote them on Battle of the Bands. You can just type Battle of the Bands Warped Tour 2014 Premarital Death. You can go on our website, and I put a link up on there. On the blog, that will link you to their voting page. But vote them in, and they could play at Warped Tour.
That'd be pretty awesome.
I'm not too sure, if they will, but I really do hope they do.
I really do hope they do.
So, help them out. But whatever.
Very talented, fun group of guys.
Yeah, listen to their music and whatnot. There's all the links on our page. But back to Anthony.
RJ's arch nemesis.
Yeah. Every day he would fucking they would run around because RJ's run away and he would just chase him it fucking
RJ was a small Asian kid. RJ was a small Asian kid.
So he was just like small Asian kid. And he didn't really talk like that, but that's just how I
It's like, it's kind of like you did have like a, look, man.
Yeah, like, hey, what are you doing?
Not even that. It's hard to mimic.
It's hard because it's like when I
he
say
talks
like
kind of like that, but he also
I feel like I'm making it sound kind of like he's retarded, and it's like
he had a little bit of that, but it was almost like he had like this weird undertone of like a white kid that was trying to be gangster. He had a little bit of that, but had this a little bit of a Rocky Balboa thing going at the same time. So it was fucking mind-boggling.
Trailer trashy, all
yeah.
Well, whatever. It's like they would fucking run around like it was fucking Looney Tunes, you know. And he could never really seem to catch RJ until like he got into class. Mm-hmm. And he had a lot of class with us too, even though he was like 2 grades ahead or what have you. And I remember it was like we had him in science class. It was one of those ones like you'd always be like, I'm in their group. I'm in their group. It's like, fuck. Why does he have to be in our fucking like biology experiment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know. So we'd always have to have him there. And it was one of those you didn't want to like make him angry. That was like the thing. So you just kind of like you tried to be as cool of him as possible. That was the key thing.
And RJ's like, fuck this motherfucker.
Well, no, even RJ, at that time, I was supposed to do it was easier if you just tried to be cool with him. I remember that's what Guy Dossie said.
Yeah.
He said that once. He's like, I just made fucking friends with him because he was the kind of guy, I just assumed that one day he'd just bring a gun to school. And I would be glad that I was his friend. You know, so
he never had any problems with me. I just didn't like him for the way he treated other people.
Yeah. So where was the story going again?
We were talking about nerds and bullies, because it was talking about the fucking King of the Nerds show or whatever it was.
But how did he involve in this?
He got involved. I think you just abruptly said like Anthony.
Oh no! This goes back to like the weird like Pixie Stix.
Oh right,
people.
Yeah, okay.
So I had to get on. That was probably like getting out a fucking like jazz band or something gay like that.
You had like a fucking like fedora and like the like fucking the overalls that were like very bright and orange.
Yeah, it's like jazz band is one of those ones like I was in it because that was the one where they allowed guitars, but
easy credit too. Probably.
Yeah, well, except the fact you had to come early. It was fucking horrible actually. I don't recommend it to anybody. But unless you maybe like jazz. But so we had to get on. So I had to get on the later bus, and so of course I get on there. And he's like, oh, I gotta sit next to Spencer. And he sits down right next to me. I'm like shoved into the window and stuff. And it's like, keep in mind, my bus ride is only like 10 minutes away. But this felt like I had to go like the full hour route. And he's in there and he's fucking like, he has these Pixie Stix. And he's like laying them across like the seat above. He's fucking snorting them. And it's all like crusted all over his face. And he like, it's like he really almost should have been in a window seat because he's outside fucking yelling. His head's outside the window, but he's leaning across over me. I'm like smashed up in there. He's just like,
I just see him just doing all these lines of it. He's just like, first you get the power, then you get the money, then you get the women. Then he looks out, sees a blimp, like the world is yours. He just has this moment.
He just looks outside. He's just like, good year.
He doesn't even see the fucking like logo on it. He doesn't see the fucking saying, just sees Goodyear.
So it's just like, so there is just those weird people like that, just where like they just sniff shit. I remember like that was always kind of thing too. Is like Pixie Stix was always like that one where you always find kids though who's like, yeah man, fucking sniff it man.
And not in high school.
It's like doing drugs.
Not in high school. It was like middle school where you still have the
yeah.
You still roughly. I mean,
you're like, hey Billy. Fucking sniff that, I'll give you $1.
Yeah.
I'll buy you a Gatorade. You're like, well, I do like Gatorade.
I'm gonna piss on this I'm gonna piss on this cracker, you have to eat it. I'll give you $5.
You'll be so cool though. Yeah. You'll be like the coolest kid in class. Willy? Yeah, dude, I mean like the chicks are totally gonna want you, man.
And like a month later, there's Piss Cracker Willy.
Everybody fucking hates you, Piss Cracker Willy. Really, peer pressure is actually such an easy thing, though. It's like it's really not that hard. Like, just if you really want to get somebody to like do or not do something, in like that time, you just got to get in that voice and just kind of do that. Like, yeah, man, you'd be so cool. Like, everybody's gonna want to be you, man. Like, really? Yeah, there's fucking $5 involved. Think about it, man. Think about it. That
you go get a Pokemon set of Pokemon cards with that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know your mom's not gonna fucking buy you those, right? You need that $5.
There was that.
Because I remember a big thing, like, you know, before you kind of had, like, money of your own, like, trading was a big thing. Did you ever do trading at all, Bunch?
Yeah, trading, you know, trade action figures,
trade
Pokemon
and video
cards.
Games.
I never really traded a video game, but I did trade a video game one time. It was like a Game Boy game. But I did trade, like, Pokemon cards and action figures.
See, I remember trading was so big that when you went to somebody's house, you would bring an extra backpack that you would just load in with shit that you were going to trade.
One friend of mine traded, like... he says he wanted it just because, like, the poster it came with. It was, like, probably her first or second album, but in middle school. One friend of mine traded like a Britney Spears album for like Will Smith's Big Willy style album. One of them, he's like, I already have it downloaded on my computer, and I just want it for the poster. That's all it is.
For the Britney Spears one?
Because it came with a poster.
Yeah.
Probably has like a hole right in her face or something.
I remember that poster that came with. That was not the first Britney Spears one.
I think so. Was it like?
It was a common poster hung up in boys' walls in the 90s. And everybody had that excuse. I just want it for the poster, man.
That's all, yeah.
I mean, some of the songs are pretty good. I'm just
saying. Maybe one more time.
Maybe it's like, something I wouldn't be blasting out if I owned a car, when I'm older. But, at the moment, it's something.
Hit me maybe one more time. It's the love.
I put it right between listening to my Led Zeppelin and my AC/DC marathon. I mean, it just kind of eases
breaks
me
it
in.
up,
Yeah, breaks it up. And everybody else looking like, no, dude.
Come on, guys, send me Baby one more time. It's the Love Me Do of 1999. Come on.
Okay, guys. I mean, like, I still listen to my Ozzy albums, it's fine, man.
That's the one thing you cannot peer pressure into people. You can't like, dude, Britney Spears is so cool. You gotta listen.
No, it doesn't work. There's things about peer pressuring that you can't come up from peer pressure. You have to be down. Yeah. Peer pressuring is all about looking down on others, and that if you can't
guilting them about it.
If you have to talk up to somebody, you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah. So if you are going to try and pitch Britney Spears, I guess what it would be today. I guess if a kid, if you're a younger listener and you're a kid, you got to peer pressure someone into it and you're already on the... You got to stand up on something and then talk to them why they should listen to One Direction.
You got to be like, you got to stand up. Like, depression. You get out a box and you go, here now, let me tell you.
The Tales of One Direction. Or One Depression.
You got to be like Peter Parker's like aunt in fucking Spider-Man Noir, where she's fucking standing on like the newspaper box or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't Vulture try to kill her at one point?
Yeah.
Doesn't he kill her or he bites her?
No, I don't think he actually does kill her, but like she's like out there just being like an activist spokesperson or whatever. It's been a while since I read that one. But I remember
it's during the Depression. Right?
Yeah. It's that Spider-Man Noir one was really sweet. I think they got a bunch of other ones.
And he's a lot like they came out like Daredevil Noir, I think Punisher Noir. They come out with a bunch of like noir ones.
It was a cool series, or at least a cool run. I don't know if they keep
I don't know if there's an X-Men.
I just have this first Spider-Man one and was like, this is fucking awesome, actually.
I don't know if there's an X-Men one. I'm kind of wondering, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like because I knew there was a Spider-Man one, and then like
it's like a pocketbook almost, the one you have, right?
Yeah, they're smaller for some. I think maybe back in that time period, like maybe they're trying to be like a pulp magazine. Maybe that was like the same
Penny
size.
Dreadful or something like that.
Yeah, like that's the only thing I can assume why they're in that. It has to be something with back in the day. I can't imagine any other reason. Because maybe pulp comics were like that. Mm-hmm. I've never physically seen one like to look and go like, oh, that's the size of it.
I've seen one behind glass and in the case for like $800.
Yeah, it's like, hey Billy, you want to buy this for $800?
Just some 80-year-old guy trying to peer pressure some like.
Have you ever been like
piss cracker
when you
Willy
go to buy somewhere and stuff, and like, there's guys that kind of like slightly try to like peer pressure you into buying something, and you're kind of doing that thing
like the flea market or whatever.
Yeah, something like that, and you're like, you almost feel like. What? I don't have that money. But the guy almost like doesn't seem to get it. Like, no, man, you got $800. You do. I'm not denying it.
Well, like that was that. Like, I mean, the guy seemed cool for the most part. When we went to Comic-Con.
Oh, there's that guy I talked to for like 25 minutes.
And I'm just like, I'm gonna go check out the. I'm gonna go.
Shoot man like pins.
Yeah, and they're like, you guys are going on for a while, and he was like saying, because he had this actual. It was cool, but he had like a bat symbol. There was like a
bat signal.
Did I say? Oh, signal.
You said
right.
symbol.
My bad. It was a bat signal that actually shined up and it was pretty bright, and it was pretty cool. But he was like, "Oh yeah, it's just gonna be like a 15, like 100. I think like 15,000, not 15,000, but like.
There's only like
something expensive. I think it was like 1,500.
I don't even want to say that.
1,500.
Well, there was like something like there was like 300 of these made, and I want to say. That he had the original like model number 1, and I think he wanted to sell that for like 1,200 or something like that.
Yeah, 1,200.
And then he had another one that was like 400 or something. That was like model number like 38.
And then he had like a bunch of like hard to find comics and video games there.
But
and he kept on going like, oh, just $70. This is $80. Like I don't got.
It's like I spent money on Neil Adams and things like that. But even like still, it's like I look at that bat thing. I'm like that bat design was cool, but. It looks very homemade. It looks like I could go cut a piece of metal out and put it over a spotlight, and I'd have my own bat signal too.
Well, it'd be kind of cool just if it was a cloudy night, like the Spencer feel like hanging out. I just look out the window. I just see the light up.
Once I saw it, I'm like, fuck, dude, I should make my own fucking bat signal now. That'd be badass. I was like, it's all possible. Well, he had a bunch of sweet stuff because he had like some Zelda comics.
He had some weird
hard. They're really like, and like they were in like 9.8, like like the highest ranking you possibly get. Like you don't even get that once you're at the comic book store, like when you buy them brand new day one. And it's like that. Don't get me wrong, that's totally cool collectible stuff, but it's like, you know, collectible stuff's for like the day that you have extra money, like a lot of extra money.
I know what you mean, but going back to like people trying to guilt trip you. Like there's this one it's like one of those shops. They just sell really miscellaneous shit. Like they sold a bunch of airsoft guns and like a handful of swords.
Is that all that shop that was in Sonora where like
like
the
East
Asian
Sonora.
chick had it?
Yeah. Well, I think it was like the husband and the Asian. I think she was like a male
Well, the husband's a guy. He lives up the hill from here. His name's Wolfgang.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay, no offense to Wolfgang. I wasn't sure if they were still together or not, because I never saw that guy.
I don't know, because I saw him at the flea market not that long ago.
You saw both? Okay, cool.
Well, I saw Wolfgang. I didn't see the other one. I always see him at the flea market.
Well, I remember, hopefully he doesn't hear this, but I remember like going there, because the main front was just like swords and airsoft guns. And if you go in the back, there's just a bunch of like hard to find, weird, like Asian food. You know, like, imported Asian food in the back. And I was going in there looking, and I felt kind of bad, and I was looking around like, oh, this is pretty cool, and this is at a time when the movies we made more often than not involve like
guns and
18, 19-year-old people fighting with airsoft guns and swords, and then you get older, you're like, oh, I'll just make it about them bullshitting or whatever.
Yeah, how can we make it
or just
easier?
animation, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a time where I would go out and buy a lot of sword. Like, the thing about it now, going out and buying a sword and using it for a movie, this will be believable, you know. You know? So doing that and just looking around, just like, oh, you're not getting this? So like, she English definitely wasn't her first language. She's like, you're not getting this? I'm like, no, I'm not getting it. I'm just like, well, why not? I'm like, oh, it's really cool. I like it. It's a little out of my price range. But how short are you? I'm like, I'm short by, and I wasn't short, but like, I'm short like. It wasn't all that expensive, but I was like, I'm short by like $5. So you take it now? Like, well, I don't like. No, you take it now, and you pay me back later. You pay me back later. But just like, oh, okay, you must
way too trusting.
You must really need this $18, you know. So I literally felt horrible about it buying this thing. I really didn't want that much. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to go into town and give her $3 later in the week. Because you know this person was very.
Did you give her $3?
I went back and gave her $3.
Well, there you go. I got like that.
Yeah, but it was one of those things. It was like one of those things that I felt bad because like she must really fucking need this $18 right now.
Well, the one that like that store, it's like the audience for that I always feel is such a niche audience because like what you're really
18-year-old kids trying to buy like airsoft guns for a movie.
You're selling it to like maybe not like 8-year-olds, probably more like you're selling to like 15-year-old kids who are really into anime. And they want to buy a bunch of Japanese shit just because it's got Japanese writing on it. So like they'll buy a bunch of food and be like, "Oh, I'm so Japanese right now."
Give me the Pocky and the marble soda stuff, whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, give me some fucking swords and some airsoft guns, you know. And it's like that's what you're selling to. And it's just like, one, that audience doesn't have tons of money, and two, it's just like it's not a constant story. It's a really weird, you know. If you have a video game shop and you combine that with it, I think it works totally well. But it seems like it'd be a really hard. Even though nowadays I don't think you can do that anymore because. That Japanese thing is so gone anymore in video games. Even Japanese games aren't even fucking Japanese anymore.
I'm sure the Japanese thing will be back eventually. It all comes in waves.
Well, yeah, it comes in waves, but like, you know, I think at like the turn of the century, it was one of those ones like you could have a shop, and if you sold video games, swords, Japanese food, fucking anime stuff, and Pokemon cards, like you could just you just sell so well. But nowadays, like most kids, I don't think they give a flying fuck about something that's Japanese anymore. I mean, just including the kids that really do like anime and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But we kind of live in that age where it's just like since I think video games are the dictatorship of like which country's cool. It sounds weird, but since American games have kind of come back, America's almost cool again. Where there was a time period where America wasn't really that cool anymore. It's like, oh, you play American games?
Yeah, that's why the Middle East loves us so much, because of our video games.
They're waiting for the Middle Eastern time. Like, once we make the Middle Eastern games, we will be cool again.
Just waiting for that.
You know, and that's why you know, France is becoming, you know, better. It's because, you know, they got a lot of the games out there now. They're kind of looked highly upon. They made a lot of good action movies recently.
It's solely for video games. That's the reason why there's going to be some...
Because, yeah, it's like, it's one of those, because, you know, I just think about, there's so many games nowadays that, like, there's less and less Japanese games. And even the games that are Japanese originally aren't Japanese as much anymore.
They're importing them to America, getting more of American style.
Well, it's like the last couple Castlevania games were made by a Spanish European team. Mm-hmm. And you could totally tell because they kind of, once again, lost the slight anime vibe to them.
Well,
It's like the new Devil May Cry game. Since it was made by an American team, it looks very American. It looks like you're watching like the Devil May Cry if it was a CW show, and it could obviously be on like rated R. But
yeah. Well, I'll say this real quick. I think that Japan. I don't think their video game industry is suffering too much. I think they got their audience.
Well, I think they got
Japanese.
once again.
They got
It's the
Japanese.
niche audience. It's the same kind of thing that.
Well, I think they got their niche in other countries, and then they have the Japanese audience who's gonna like all that stuff.
And I think also too, you know, that audience of Japan also spreads really well to Asia, Thailand, Korea, and so on.
Yeah. So I think those are probably. I think they're doing fine. They're probably not doing what they would have done in the 90s.
As long as it's in Thailand, you can still buy. I don't know if you can buy video games. You probably can buy them by now.
They're probably not doing what
I
they're
remember
doing.
like 12 years ago, it was illegal to own video games in Thailand.
You're fucking kidding me.
I think it was Thailand.
Jesus
It
Christ.
was one of those. I feel better. It was one of those countries over there. It wasn't Laos, I'll tell you that. But it was something like that. It was just like, yeah, it was like video games were illegal to have. But
Sometimes it's kind of weird.
no, it can't be Thailand because I bought video games from Thailand. So maybe it had to be another country then.
Yeah. No, well, as far as I think that they're probably doing fine in their own country and surrounding countries, but I think that it's just like, oh, it's not 90s or the early 2000s where anime and Japanese stuff was huge.
Well, I think it's like the American, like the average American kid. If you probably, like, let's say the average kid / like, if you went from somebody who's from the age 10 30, and you went to their house right now and you looked at the last 10 games they bought, how many of those games would actually be Japanese games? You know, I bet you it's pretty. For most people, I bet you it's one or two, if not zero. If I had to guess, because you know, you probably look and they go, okay, he's got Grand Theft Auto, he's got Call of Duty, he's got Assassin's
Gears
Creed,
of War.
he's got Gears of War. You know, he's got
Maybe some Halo.
yeah, Halo, or he's got The Last of Us, or he's got fucking Uncharted. You know, and maybe he's got Zelda. That's his Japanese game he's got. And maybe he's got Resident Evil.
If it's Nintendo, that's where you got most of your Japanese
Yeah,
games. I mean, if you got did I say Mario or Nintendo? If you got Nintendo, it's mostly your Japanese games right there, probably.
Yeah. Now, I guess that's true. Nintendo still kind of holds the the ball on the Japanese thing because when you buy Nintendo, you pretty much are buying all Japanese. But even I want to say, it's strange enough. I think like the last the Metroid Prime games, that was all an American team. The people that made I want to say Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, I think that company.
They're Canadian?
I want to say they're like Canadian or something. Eternal Darkness.
Silicon Knights or whatever?
Yeah, Silicon Knights. So yeah, it's like it's been happening for years, and now that's a little bit different. Like converting a game over, it's like, well, the story was already made by Japanese and so on. At least we can say this: Metal Gear Solid still holds a high bar as being Japanese and staying that way.
Yeah.
Even though I know that they're kind of like, and I remember reading that article on I almost said Shinji Mikami, but Hideo Kojima. He said he's like the thing you just got to do is you just got to be smart about it. You can be Japanese, but just make sure that you also incorporate whatever else that's also hip to the notion nowadays too.
Suda51 games have trouble selling, don't they?
Well, cause the thing about Suda51, I think
They have their cult audience.
there's the cult audience because I love those games. I look at his games as being some of the highest games I look forward to. And I'll buy his game way over a lot of other people's stuff because I just love what he gives. And he gives a unique experience, but it does remind me I feel like I'm playing a game that I would got in 1997. Still. And then not like in a bad way, but I just feel like I'm getting something really Japanese, and I like that. And I like the comedy, and I like the gameplay and the story and everything. Where I think for a lot of people, though, like that kind of weird Japanese stuff, it kind of scares people. I think the average American's scared of that stuff. And they're just like, well, give me a guy off a crew cut and a gun. That's what I want.
With a faint stubble, and he has dark hair.
Yeah.
You don't even see blonde main characters very much anymore.
No,
it's usually dark hair now.
That's sort of a thing. It's like I always feel like they slightly try to phase a lot of blonde people out. I mean, we can see that. We can see that with Captain America because you know what? He is not the main character anymore. There's now Robert Downey Jr.
Not Iron Man. It's Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's that Iron Man.
Because when people, I'm not going to try and talk shit for people who like the character like it is, but when people say, "Oh, I love Iron Man so much. I love Iron Man so much." Have you seen the movies? Yeah, it's the only thing I really know him for. Well, you're more of a fan than Robert Downey Jr. than you are Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because that's how I feel. I mean, I'm not talking. If that's what you like, that's fine. It's just one of those things when people just kind of "Oh, I've always liked Iron Man." It's like, yeah.
You mean since 2007,
8 or
whatever it came out? Please be honest with me, because believe me, when I was a kid, I never met a single person that really liked Iron Man that much.
And I'm not talking shit on people that like those movies. That's totally fine. I mean, I even like the first one, but still, I guess just one of those things. Like, of all the characters, that one, I don't know.
Well,
I personally
think
understand.
this is what bothers me more. It's not that Iron Man. It's just, why the fuck is he the main character? Why is Captain America taking orders from Iron Man? I mean, I guess like in
Avengers, by the end of it, like Captain America was leading it, by the end of Avengers, because Iron Man asks him, "What's our goal, Captain?"
Yeah. Well, even it's like I was thinking like in the Avengers cartoon show.
I haven't seen that.
And I mean, I guess it does make sense though, because if Captain America came back and it's fucking 60 years later, why would you realistically thinking though, why would you choose?
Let's dig a trench.
Yeah, why would you have that guy lead you who's really fucking far behind?
Let's lay some landmines down.
Who's got a lot of catching up. I mean,
hand me that Luger.
Because when you really think about Captain America, he's not like your fucking grandpa. He is your grandpa 60 years ago mindset. Because at least your grandpa, he might not play video games, but he knows what they are. Mm-hmm. He knows what color TV is. Mm-hmm. Captain America knows none of this shit. So I can see in a realistic perspective nowadays why Captain America is not the main character. Because at the time it made sense, like, oh, he's frozen in time. Well, yeah, it's only been 15 fucking years since World War II. Mm-hmm. It's the 60s. He can still lead the team. Nothing's changed that much. But when the farther it goes, because he's one of the few characters he always is born in the same year. He's always from the same time period. Though he just keeps getting like farther and farther as far as he's frozen.
I'm just waiting for like Captain America just to like not in the middle of a battle or anything, just like down like somewhere at Avengers Mansion, just in the hallway, just to walk past Tony and just bitch slap him with the shield. Just like know your place.
You know your role.
Doesn't even have to say it to him. Just looks at him. Just bitch stares him down. And just walks out the room. I'm just waiting for that to happen, like the way it should be. You know?
The way God intended.
I remember when the Captain America was coming out, people were like, "Oh, Captain America, that's cool." People were really excited for the second one, but when the first one was coming out, like, "Oh, Captain America, okay, whatever." Oh my God, Iron Man 2, holy fuck,
Yeah, it's like, oh, the Captain came out. He's a...
Oh, Thor's cool. I like Thor.
He's kind of like your grandparent's superhero.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Like, I remember having, like, I used to have this Captain America button on my backpack, and I was going into a class, and I sat next to a girl. She was pretty cool, but she, like, was a huge Iron Man fan, mainly from the movies, which is fine. You don't gotta, like, read the comics. You're not judging people who don't. But just like, oh my God, Iron Man's so much cooler. Got in that hole, which that's always kind of
where you, like, fucking slam your shield down, and you're like, you did
just
not
pull it out of my bag. Just pull it out of my bag.
Iron Man is cooler than Captain America.
Well, my thing is, there's even no real point to actually arguing your favorite superhero to someone else's favorite.
No, because no matter what, it's like...
No one's going to back down.
Yeah, it's an unwinnable argument.
Though I'll say this, though, even though I'm sure if there's an Iron Man fan in this room, they would not step down, but I'm going to say this. All right, lose the costume, just mano-a-mano, man-to-man, fist-to-fist, Bruce Wayne versus Tony Stark.
Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, Bruce Wayne versus Tony Stark.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about Captain America versus Tony Stark.
I'm leaving here for a second, just comparing my.
And I was just gonna say, like, yeah, it's like you take away the suit.
That's a new argument. You take away the suit and just man to man fist fight. Bruce is gonna beat him like a bitch.
Because you know why? Because Iron Man relies on a fucking suit.
Yeah. So maybe he could be a little clever in some ways. Like the movie number 3 showed how he can be clever without the suit, and that was cool. That was interesting, but. Mm-hmm. Bruce Wayne versus Tony Stark. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Not this fucking means anything or matters at the end of the day.
But yeah.
Just one of those things, because As I try to avoid that argument every once in a while. When you get talking to someone,
it builds up. It builds up. You keep hearing it, and then at some point you're just like, no. Captain America. What it's like? I almost feel like you almost get that thing too. Like, what you hate America? You almost start using like that primal like Fox guy. News thing that like the easiest way that you can make somebody be on your side is just say this guy hates America,
which means you hate children, freedom, and cheeseburgers
and Jesus.
Yeah, you can't help but feel that way, come across that way sometimes. What's your problem with fucking America, man?
And you realize it works really well. Like the scare tactics works great.
Peer pressure them into liking Captain America.
That's all Fox News is. It's just it's just adults peer pressuring down on other adults. It's it's the same thing. I
saw this fucking stupid.
It's the the same mentality of being 10 years old and being like, dude, fucking eat it. I mean, what? So he pissed on you, but you get $5 and you'll be the coolest kid in school.
No one will think of you as Piss Cracker Willy,
Yeah.
No, that's kind of going to Fox News for a second. I fucking loathe Bill O'Reilly. I loathe that crusty old cocksucker.
That's what makes Devil May Cry 5 so much fun, is you get a kill pretty much with like Bill O'Reilly, and you get to stop
Bill O'Reilly Limbaugh.
Yeah.
Much. No, but there's like a part there's this is going like I think a week back maybe, but like Obama started up this program for like inner city kids, trying to help them get a foot up on life, which that's fine, that's cool, I'm all down for that.
Yeah.
And if anybody needs it, it's probably people in the inner city, more than like some white kid like in a suburb somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And of course Fox News has something to fucking say about it. And like Bill O'Reilly's like, look, I'm all for this. I'm just saying it's not the right way. What we gotta do is we gotta get
a cotton plant.
No, almost as bad. Here's just me set out what he fucking said. I'm going off of memory here, but this is what he says. They got the bad influences. What we need to do, we got to get Obama to talk to the Jay-Z's, the Kanye Wests, the Mariah Careys. We got to get them to come in.
They gotta talk to the black folk that done good.
He says, you gotta talk to them, and they gotta tell the kids, stop it. Stop with the backwards caps. Stop with.
We need Jay-Z to go in there with a teaching stick from Japan and just every single time just stand in the back of class, and if anybody gets out of line, he fucking beats it, because if Jay-Z's beating you, you'll listen.
He's just like, we just gotta stop the talk. We gotta go to all the gangster rappers, have them stop it, and tell the kids to stop it, and go to the young girls, stop getting pregnant at 16, stop doing this. Like,
well, have Will Smith punch you in the gut if you get pregnant.
Have what?
Will Smith punch you in the gut.
Just all like these fucking
just
rich
celebrities just
kicking the shit out of kids if they do something wrong. It's just like. Oh my god.
Well, that's what I think.
That's just like Bill, like, you stupid, crusty old cocksucker.
You sit up in your Fox News castle and you look down upon the world and you have no relations with
I fucking hate that guy so much. I was like, I don't even want him to die or anything, because that's too good. He'll be remembered as a fucking hero. We'll get a fucking statue of him somewhere in fucking Florida. I don't know. It's just, fuck.
Yeah, it's one
Texas,
thing I will say I loved about that Devil May Cry 5 story, is I did love the fact
you gotta kill Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, the whole point really, it's like that game's those ones, like, that is so like just like fucking, we're gonna put it to the man. Well, who's the man? Fucking Fox News. And who's the
that game almost feels like it could have like taken place like in the mid-90s or something.
It really sort of like, I guess,
or maybe late 90s, probably
more like
Matrix, something like Matrix.
Yeah, sort of like that kind of, or even like.
Even though that game probably wouldn't exist without something like
sort of
Matrix.
more like Bush era.
Yeah,
I feel like it sort of strives from like that kind of.
That's
thing.
actually a better example. Yeah, Bush era.
Because now it's kind of like an Obama era, so now it's like kind of hate's always towards the other end.
Even though I don't like Bush, I didn't have like I don't like Bush. I never had this raging hatred. He just seems like he's a dumbass.
Well,
and he just doesn't
like,
care.
He's just a good old boy who he doesn't know any better.
He was raised.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault he somehow ended up as president.
I'll say this: he doesn't seem. Well, I don't think that like he blatantly just seemed like a racist. I just think he seemed like a fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
He was just raised childhood privilege, never really had any outside world experiences, and he's just a dumbass. And
I feel
he's
like
just entitled.
He tried his best. He did what he knew.
I think Dick Cheney was probably one of the most evil men. I mean, that's why I don't like talking about it.
He's the puppet master.
Yeah, I think Dick Cheney was probably like the real evil. Like he even was saying something like, we want more money going to like military. Of course, Obama's gonna have to go to fucking food stamps or something. Said that. I was just like, oh god damn it.
Well, I know, because like everybody, like, I saw some. Like,
I listen to Young Turks every so often, and like I'll hear like they often ram against Fox News, and I'm like, why the fuck do I even listen to the news anymore? I know exactly what they're gonna say. I know what's gonna happen.
That's the only thing. And, when you meet people that start to get really into like watching the news. I just stopped watching the news, because at first there's a time in my life I'm like, I should keep up with the news. I should really be informed. And then there comes a point where you're just like, if the news wasn't so horrible, I would. But it's just like, I don't like the regular local news, just because you always just see like, who died today, who was raped today, who was hit by a car today.
And someone got a kitten out of a tree.
And then they have the fluff story at the end, and like just to make up for it all. And I don't like that. And then you get, and every once in a while there is a good story. So I'm not putting down the once in a few while they do put something, it's like, okay, that deserved to be on there. And then when you get all the political news and stuff, it's just people bitching about each other and just going complaining about this and that and this and that, and you just kind of go, it's just all negative.
And wasn't there something about like a very important like a special story on Syria, and they stop it halfway through, like something's going on with fucking Bieber or something. Didn't they?
That too, I see that so many times. It's just like, oh, this country practically is falling into bankruptcy, and it's like it's on the little ticker bar down there at the bottom. It's like, what, Justin Bieber?
It's like I would.
He was driving drunk. Let's talk about that. Okay, because even CNN's like, okay, we gotta talk about this for like an hour. Like, what is wrong with the Beeb? We gotta know. You know, we're hip. We get it. You know, he wants to be cool, and you're like, that is not fucking news. Like, Jesus, it's like. You're CNN. At least hold some higher bar. Come on.
So I would I wouldn't really watch the news. I would listen to the BBC World Podcast.
No, BBC, no. If you want to listen to a fine news program, you either listen to NPR or BBC.
Well, or I listen to the Young Turks. They're a little bit more of like, I mean, I agree with a lot of things.
Is that like a British podcast?
No, what they are is they're more of a video podcast, and they're pretty liberal. They bust Obama's balls, but they're pretty liberal, and they have some funny stories. They're kind of a little bit more laid back, like they have no problems like swearing or saying fuck. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? But but they give credit where it's due. It seems. I mean, it's one of those things. There's so many. I'm not trying to like say make up my mind for me, but there's so many fucking different like news stations. One saying this, one saying that. Sometimes it's hard to decipher what's true. But I believe BBC and Young Turks more than a lot of the other ones.
It pretty much, I feel like you can trust the news as long as it's not a corporate news station.
These guys are independent.
Yeah, because like the BBC, it's the same thing as PBS and NPR, where it's publicly paid for.
Well, apparently, unless they're lying or it's changed since then, Young Turks said like like a story like a few weeks back that. NPR was bought out or was getting funded by a bunch of big like corporations that were like doing a lot of like propaganda for like their companies or whatever.
Huh.
So now NPR is not really as trusted as they once were.
Interesting. I know that NPR started taking some ads and PBS had to start taking some ads, and that might be what they're talking about. And at some point when the money stops flowing in. You gotta sometimes break down and suck the big cock. Yeah. That's just kind of how...
You beat me to it. I was just about to say that.
That's kind of how life is.
It's surprised it took that long to get a blowjob joke in there.
It's like Walmart. At some point, you're gonna suck the devil's dick because you want that new DVD day one.
You really want Justice League War, and you're like, oh.
I want to wait for Amazon.
Yeah.
So, and that might be what they're talking about, because I know that, like, on PBS now, I remember when I first I'm like, the fuck, there's a commercial on PBS? Mm-hmm. And the only thing PBS and NPR and all those ones, the only thing you have to deal with every once in a while is you get part where like...
Was either PBS or NPR? I don't remember. I think it was PBS, not NPR. My mistake.
Maybe. Well, they're very similar because they're both like publicly funded and whatnot like that. And like, then every once in a while, I like, whatever, you put up that thing like, it's because listeners like you, you're the ones that do it. You get this fine programming, commercial free, something that will make your kids actually advance in life. And we just need $200 from everybody. If you get $200. You get the CD, DVD package for $200. You're getting a fine musical experience, but not only that, you're supporting great entertainment.
Just fucking give it.
Just come on.
Send us the fucking money.
If you can't do it, that's okay because you can donate a car. It'll be a tax write-off, and you're helping out a good cause. That's PBS. Okay, now we'll go back to the concert. And after about one or two more songs, we'll come back and we'll talk to you. And we'll see who's on the line. And you're just like, oh, okay. There's not that part where it's like, okay.
I love the Simpsons episode where Homer called in.
He just calls in like, he's like, how much money do you need or whatever? And it's like, oh, we need like $100,000 if not more. And he's like, okay, $100,000, that will do it.
Hangs up and says, huh? They just show up at his house. And then they have like, oh God. They're like chasing him down. Like Big Bird's chasing.
And it's like, Elmo knows where you live.
Yeah. It's like Big Bird start pecking at him, start chasing him down. So he goes to some like island out, like I think in Southeast Asia.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
I think that's the one where
he goes hides out on an island to avoid PBS.
Is that the one where he goes on the mission?
Yeah, he starts licking.
He licks toads, yeah.
And then like at the end of the episode, it's about to end, like they're all gonna die, and then it cuts like a PBS thing, like, oh boy, Homer sure does get into some funny adventures.
Because that's the one where Homer goes, he's supposed to be like on a mission church group thing out there.
But he teaches them
gambling.
He teaches them gambling and beer, and at some point, like, I mean, there's the joke, which this always makes me laugh. Like, I miss The Simpsons. I'm sure it's still good. I just haven't seen it in a while, but
well, it's like, the old episodes are great. It's just. It's the newer
New
ones.
generation.
The last, I can almost say about 5+ years have kind of like, They pander to a completely different audience.
I haven't seen him like in 5 or 6 years, so maybe that could be why. But there's like the part where like there is they built the church, and one of them says like, so to avoid hell, we have to go to church for every Sunday for the rest of our lives. Yes. Like, no, seriously, what do we got to do?
Yeah, Simpsons. When I haven't seen it for so long. When I think back, it's such a great show. It really is. It is, and it gets funnier with age. There's jokes in there that just it's such good writing.
Well, it's one of those things like when you're younger, you laughed at like Bart saying a wiener joke or Homer tripping down the stairs. But when you get older, you're laughing at more of just the small
little things. It's just
the small things like or like Homer, I'm taking your song out of the jukebox. It's ready, man. Not anymore, it ain't. Throws it out the window. And then you hear like Smithers, hello, like around the corner.
And those are the things that just to get so better. But as I will say, like I remember the last handful of years, and I haven't really watched it like at all recently, but I remember watching it probably 5-6 years ago. Now these are the new episodes
To us.
And these are still new. When the show's going on for over 20 seasons, that's new. Yeah. And it's just one of those ones that just kind of like it wasn't the '90s Simpsons anymore, and it wasn't I guess it didn't pander to a '90s audience. They're pandering to an internet-based people that really like their NBC comedies and like kind of random jokes and kind of uppity stuff. I guess because. You forget how much a generation, affects television and things around us.
I know. There's also, I wonder if you still get jokes. Like there's the one where, I think Homer was having some kind of sale. Like it was like he was trying to be like Thomas Edison. He made some kind of like bird feeder of some sort. You see a bird's beak peeking out of like it was like a bunch of like wood like stapled together, and like it's like Moe's like, I'll give you $4 for the bird if it's still alive. No, it doesn't, no, like, chirping. Never mind, sits back down. It's like those lines. I wonder if you get any of that stuff.
I bet you if you watch it, you would still get a handful of chuckles here and there. Yeah. But I just remember, it just was ones that just like, this, it just to me is like, this isn't my generation anymore. Like,
passed on.
The times have changed and things are moving on and...
I'm not changing with it!
And they don't need us superheroes anymore. And that's kind of, and that's just kind of how it is. It's sort of like, it's hard to find sometimes a new sitcom nowadays a lot of times because you do get a lot of these ones where you're like, well, I'm not rich and living in New York. I know they've had these for like ever though, I guess. The rich and, that sitcom of like being rich and living in New York is a very common one.
Well, Seinfeld, like, okay, he's a stand comedian, I guess.
Well, Seinfeld makes sense because like, it will sort of work too because like,
they're older.
They were older, and it didn't feel like they were, like, extremely rich, Jerry just felt like he really felt like, I mean, just include the fact that we know that New York's expensive, like, the way he lived, though, it looked like he just lived.
Was that around Giuliani's cleanup when Seinfeld was out? I don't know my New York history.
I want to say that was in the early 90s, so probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that kind of makes sense, because, you look at that one, you're like, he lives in a regular apartment. There's nothing fancy in his apartment. It looks like...
Fancy thing is a Superman statue behind him.
Yeah, he's got a Superman statue and whatnot. He's just got, his sort of VHS collection. But it's nothing too fancy. Where I guess a show like Friends, they always kind of look very, like...
The nicest
upbeat,
apartments.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, they spend all day, like, in a fucking coffee shop.
And then the modern day Friends of being like How I Met Your Mother, where I look at them like, these are just a bunch of rich, douchey people that...
How I Met Your Mother...
And it's all... And the thing, I think what bothers me more, it's the overacting. They all feel, it feels like and I know a sitcom is technically like a play in a sense because they're on stage and there's an audience.
That's where it originated. Yeah.
But theirs really feels like they're fucking trying to reach out to seat number like 140 in the back row.
Well, even like, because I remember Cisco has twisted our arm and watched a few episodes of like How I Met Your Mother, and I was just like, there's a few funny lines.
Well, yeah,
but
you chuckle every once in a while because, as I've always said, you throw out enough jokes, no matter what, you're going to hit something funny. It's just the roll of the dice.
But I remember there's a thing, like, there's an episode, like, I don't know the characters' names, but let's just say the main character, for argument's sake, his name's Paul. This is like, you haven't Paul'd it? Like, wait, you're using my name as an adjective? Yep, ye Paul'd it, ha ha ha, And they're all, like, nodding, very accessible. I mean, like, Jason Segel, he's a decent actor. I've seen him in other
stuff.
I
like Neil Patrick Harris. It's like
Neil Patrick Harris too, And
it seems like I look at
Michelle from American Pie.
I look at that and I go like, they're people I like, but it's just the humor is it's just not my humor. Mm-hmm. They're not my people. Because I look at those people and I just go like, how could I ever relate to these people?
Well, I think it says something because there are some movies where it's like I can't relate to that guy. Well, all right. At a first glance, for instance, like Don John, that's a movie where, at a first glance, I have no fucking thing. I have nothing in common with that guy. I'm not a guy who goes to the bar and looks for pussy. That's not how I meet girls.
That's sometimes interesting because it is a different thing. But you don't.
But on top of that, though, it's one of those things. The story itself was good enough to stand on its own. I was caring about this guy I would never probably hang out with in real life.
Yeah.
Or like 500 Days of Summer, for instance. That movie, they're obviously a bunch of well-off, like young, like late 20s, probably. Just hanging. I think it was New York. I don't remember where the movie takes place exactly, but I want to say it was like New York. And they're all like, dressing like mods, doing really good. We just focus on that. But the story was like people like kind of like same scenario for How I Met Your Mother. But the thing is, the story was good enough, and it was written well enough to where I cared about him. You know what I mean?
And somehow, some way.
And I think the fact that they seem so generic, it's not so much the class of the people in How I Met Your Mother, or they're rich or well off. It's just they're so generic that's what brings it down.
And I think what it really boils down to, it's not necessarily like can you totally relate to this person. It's more like how was the person's views, and once you notice that their views are different, that's really what loses it. It's like those ones like I look at Batman. There's no possible way to really relate to Batman. You're like, I'm not a billionaire. I don't have all these great skills. I'm not that smart. But we have the same view in life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it, no matter what, that's kind of how it is. Mm-hmm. It's almost, you can look at a lot of things like that. Mm-hmm. And I think when I look at something like How I Met Your Mother, now I know we're using like a sitcom to like try to get like some kind of like emotional like tie of.
I'm sure they have their emotional episodes.
It's like that's how like I feel like I always like the 2.5 Men as being like in the last while one of the higher up sitcoms. And I'm talking about the Charlie Sheen section of the show. That was a great run, and I think what made that show is even though Charlie is rich, and none of us are rich, and he had like a job as a jingle writer. The whole point of that show though was like, if you really break down it's Charlie is who everybody wants to be. We all want to be a guy who's rich and pretty much retired, and he's like not even that old, and his only job is he fucking writes jingles. So he's a musician, but he's just writing short ass fucking songs that don't even take any effort. He never has to go on tour. He just sells them and gets a lot of money for it. He has this great Malibu house. Nothing really bad happens. He's always got girls over. He's always got his buddies who are actors and all kinds of stuff. He can drink all the time and nothing seems to happen. But in truth, everybody's an Allen, where you try really fucking hard and everything is downhill. You got a divorce. You have to pay for all this alimony. You're even though you have a decent job, somehow, some way, it's just not fucking working out for you. You live in your brother's house, and I think that's what makes that show work. Is because it's like here's yes, that's what it is. Here's the guy everybody strives to be, and here's the guy that everybody pretty much is. Mm-hmm. And then another show I always thought that worked so well was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
And the thing I like about that is like really most of the characters are all like they're not well off. They're just regular Joes working a job, and that's about it. I mean,
Dennis and Dee
are kind of like they're
so stupid.
I guess they're kind of like they're sort of like your rich friends that you have, and then because I always feel like Charlie and Mac are like those are my people.
Well, I still even like that's one of those examples. Like I would never want to hang out with any of those people in real life, but I love that show and I want to know what they're up to. I'm like a few seasons behind, but I love that show. And there's a part where, like, for instance, a good example. What was I gonna say with that? Well, that show's kind of like when you're a kid. There's almost kind of that thing like, hey guys, we should form up kind of like a team that kind of goes around solving problems. And you do that when you're a kid and it doesn't go anywhere. It's just like
where you get these ideas. Pretty much the whole point's like, okay guys, somehow, some way, we gotta buy fucking Star Fox 64 like in a week, right? Well, what are we gonna do? We'll start our own private island. We'll go knock on people's doors, and then like they'll give us jobs and they'll pay us.
Or it's like, oh, I saw that, or like maybe this show wasn't around when you were a kid.
I just saw Ocean's 11.
Yeah, or something like that. That you'd see that in some way, you try to mimic that.
Well, I just saw Scarface.
Now take that, exactly. Anything. It's like they see something, doesn't have to be a movie, it could just be an idea or a theme, and they try to mimic that. Now, take a bunch of like alcoholic
30-year-olds
that don't know their asshole from a hole in the ground, and who generally aren't good people, and throw them into that fucking situation. Right there, you got a great fucking formula for a show, because they do we're like, okay, well, Charlie, he could be the wild card. There's the episode we're gonna try and make Lethal Weapon 5. It's made really bad, shot very poorly, and Mac and Dennis go back and forth between playing Riggs and Murtaugh, and they're arguing Murtaugh. Yeah, they are. Was it Murtaugh or Murtaugh?
It's Murdoch.
Murdoch. I thought it was Murtaugh. I don't know.
Either way. It's not Taw. It's a dog.
Murdoch. Okay. Well, they go back and forth arguing of who should be him, and they keep on going is blackface racist? That whole thing throughout the show.
Yeah.
And then you just see rough cuts, and Charlie is playing every other person that's not those two, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff about the show makes it last. So when you get something that's very generic, there's this girl I like, and I gotta try, that's the thing about How I Met Your Mother. It's it's not it's a guy sitting his kids down and telling him how he met his mother. It shouldn't be that. It's like, every chick I tried to fuck. That's what the show should be called.
And I'm telling this to my children.
Yeah, because I'm kind of waiting for the episode. I mean, maybe it's happened by now. I don't watch it. I saw 4 episodes.
I don't care to watch it, but yeah.
I saw 4 episodes of it. And I'm waiting for the episode where the kids it's Dad, it's been 10 fucking years. Just tell us, how did you meet Mom? I don't give a shit about if you met the slutty pumpkin lady or meeting the fucking chick on the dating site who was the perfect match for you, but she was already engaged. How did you fucking meet Mom? And he just stands there, just stares at him. Anyway, so this was a wild and wacky night,
Yeah.
Doesn't even tell him.
And I think I don't know. It's one of those ones. And there's a lot. There's some shows too where I look at people and I'm like, they're a bunch of rich 40-year-old, 50-year-olds maybe or something like that, living in New York, and the show could be better. There's a show like Rules of Engagement.
Never seen it.
That's a David Spade one.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of those ones there's great funny lines in it, and I think it's one of those just if you live in New York and you're in your 40s, that show would probably appeal really well to you.
And that's a show. Well, and that's also kind of that's basically Adam Sandler feeding David Spade. Pretty much.
Yeah,
it's a Happy Madison production. So.
Yeah.
You just see a big spoonful of porridge going to David Spade's mouth at the end of every episode or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure to be a dick, but I think he's the one that's kind of giving David Spade a job, really.
Well, that show's really popular.
It is?
Yeah.
I never hear anybody talk about it.
Well, are you 40 years old?
No.
No,
that's the point.
My parents love that show.
Oh, okay.
It's I feel 40 and above is where people really like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think a lot of sitcoms appeal. It's to an older audience. And then the ones they try to feed to younger people it's kind of I think they feel like they give us things like How I Met Your Mother, and we're kind of
you need a fucked up show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's to me, it's and that's what I like about that, and it's that's my kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
And even 2.5 Men, I know because a lot of, it's hard to find younger people that like that one nearly as much too. I think because it's, once again, it appeals to people in their 40s and up, But I think it works,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sitcoms.
Yeah.
They can be kind of a
hit and miss.
It's one of the only things, because I don't like TV very much. Sitcoms one of the few things I did like.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's I don't know. I like cartoons.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what
20
it all
minutes
kind of breaks down to.
Yeah.
Is, fuck it. Cartoons do it right. Why can't sitcoms do it sometimes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We should probably, I guess we got a little bit of an announcement right here to say at the end.
Okay.
Well, it's nothing's set in stone yet. Well, one thing is that it's pretty much at this point set in stone. I'm going to be moving to San Francisco. So, and even though I want to do it, I'm really going to miss the podcast. So what we're going to try to do is...
So Ryan's going to be off for a bit.
For a little while.
He'll probably come back and forth and do it a bit until we figure something else out on
well,
that.
Here's something we might do.
So it's going to become the special guest podcast for a long time.
Well, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get a... Because it's, it's not so much like... San Francisco's pretty fucking expensive. But then there's finding a new apartment, the first and last month's rent, the fucking deposit, all that bullshit. So it's probably going to be a little bit of time. I'm going to try and get a microphone. And what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and do the podcast over the phone, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That idea, I still think that's such a stretch idea because like I don't even know.
It's worth a shot.
I don't even know if I have a phone that I can talk on for that long to even think about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's worth a shot. I've heard other podcasts do it and do it fine, but we'll see what happens. It's just worth a shot. And if not, then at some point, I guess I'll just be back on over here. I guess the ideal thing will get Cisco to replace me, but Cisco's talking about moving too. So
I think he's gonna get RJ or something. I guess he'll just be my new wingman. I'm not too sure.
So I mean, we'll figure it out. And even me, I like podcasts too much. I might even have to. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so we're gonna no promises, but I guess we're gonna try and do an extra podcast this week just to spread it out over time. So yeah. So hopefully, in this next few weeks might be my last couple on here. But if not, then I'll be back here eventually. So.
Well, yeah, you'll be back no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, once you get down there, you can fucking find us shit to do, and then we can come on down.
Yeah, and it's not. And then this isn't like I'm gonna get my own podcast and have yours. It's not that, but I might.
I'm part of the San Francisco lifestyle now. Fuck you, Mountain Town.
Yeah.
I'm so cool.
I got a beard, a nice tight V-neck shirt,
and I got a black boyfriend.
Oh, fuck, I gotta tell this story. This is such a weird fucking segue. I forgot I told you that. Okay,
Ryan has a black boyfriend now. That's
not really.
He went down to San Francisco, he got a job, and he got a boyfriend in a room all at the same time.
In a matter of 2 days. Not a boyfriend. I haven't gotten a place to live yet, but I'm searching. I got our friend Wes, who's been on the podcast before. I was crashing at his place, and he had to go to work. So I had the interview early the next morning. So he said, well, look, you can crash at my place, hang out with my girlfriend, just watch TV, or you can come with me to work. I'm like, I'll go with you to work. So, and he's a bartender. So we're driving down, this bar is I believe in 6th Avenue, and we stop there, and he's talking about, yeah, it's a pretty cool place, yada yada. As we pull in, he just says, yeah, we were voted trendiest gay bar of the month or something like that.
I like how he waits till like right when you get there.
Until we pull up and park. So we go in there, and it's fine. It's a quiet night. It's like Wednesday. It's quiet, and I'm just kind of sitting there chilling. And I'm just hanging out at the bar, just talking with them. And there wasn't a whole lot of people there, but the few dudes that were there were pretty friendly. And eventually there's this bigger black dude sitting like a few seats away from me. He's a pretty cool guy. We start talking. We start bullshitting. His friend comes and he joins the conversation. They were both really cool guys, both really friendly. And at some point, though, the dude in the middle, who I guess wasn't gay, he was just his friend just hanging out there, just stops laughing, just says, all right, I'm going to break the ice. Are you gay? I'm like, no, I'm not. And the other guy's like, oh, god damn it, you know? I'm like, really? I almost felt flattered. I was like, oh, get away from me. I was like, oh, I'm flattered.
I don't know what it is. It's like when a gay guy likes you, it's almost like
there's a first for me.
And it's almost like a really good compliment. You're like, well, women normally like you, so it's like one of those ones like when a gay guy likes you, it's almost like, oh my god, it's just more like it's like that compliment. You're like, man, he really thinks I'm stylish and everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah, it was definitely.
See, this is what happens if I ever go to this is what happens when I go to the theater. That's why I don't like to go there very often.
The theater, the movie theater?
No, not the movie theater.
Oh, the real theater. The real theater.
Like
that's
the stage play theater.
Because we get people from all over, because they go where the work is, and they got housing there. So you get, yeah.
Because last time I went to Last time I went there, because Cisco wanted to take us to go see Hairspray or whatever. I go in there, and then I get the guys are all like, oh, so what do you do in the weekends?
You work out?
Yeah, and make movies. So, oh, that's cool. That's cool. You ever dated a black guy before? No. And it's also those ones like you don't really say dude, I'm not gay. You just kind of I don't know you go along with it. Why? I don't know.
Well, I just thought this guy was...
I guess you get this thing. You're like, well, one, I don't want to offend him.
Yeah.
Which is probably worse. I've always learned in life that going along with things sometimes can turn out to be way worse than trying just to do the thing well, I don't want to offend him.
Well, I thought I
want him to feel like he's trying to get something out of it.
My thing was I thought the guy was just being. I figured. I'm not trying to sound homophobic, like they smell it on you or nothing, but I always hear most gay dudes say, oh, we can usually tell right off the bat.
Maybe it's because you're wearing a flannel. And...
I was wearing a flannel, I was wearing a Batman shirt, but...
the Batman shirt might have... That should have been the indication, but Batman no gay.
No, but the guy was...
Just because Batman lived a bunch of men in his house doesn't mean he's gay.
Well, no, the dude was hella cool, he was hella nice, and I just thought we were just bullshitting the whole time. And I just assumed he was just a really friendly guy, and I felt bad. I didn't realize I was leading this dude on. He wanted me to go home with him and all that. I'm like, oh, thank you, dude. Thank you very much, but I'm good. But
maybe you should go back.
I got a friend. I walked away with a phone number.
See if you get him like a sugar daddy and you can pay for all your stuff.
I'm good. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a sugar. Yeah. But no, it's
no, sugar daddy's fun because like there's no sex involved. It's just like it's more like just being a friend.
I feel like this guy. He could probably do good. I don't think he needs like some boy toy to be hanging on that he can't play with. No, but
yeah, it's more kind of it's like you're like an umbrella.
I like how you're telling this to me. So that means at one point in time you've done it or you've considered it.
Well, I just knew people that had sugar daddies, and it seemed like a really good
Daryl,
gig.
who was apparently like Anderson Cooper's sugar daddy or something.
Oh yeah, there's that. Well, yeah, I don't think his name was Daryl.
Daryl.
But yeah, the black guy that liked me at the play thing ended up like, dating Anderson Cooper, which I was like, boy, look at me and Anderson Cooper, we're like in the same pit.
But like, what was I gonna say? I guess it's one of those things. Like, you know what? If I ever just realize something, like, you know what? Because it was no real effort. I was just kind of sitting there. Dude came on, So I just like. I guess the option's there if I ever let's see what this cock thing's all about,
One day you're just gonna like roll over and be like, man, it's really struggling for rent. Oh, I got Daryl's number though. I'll just give him a call.
His name, we'll just call him Daryl. His name's not Daryl.
Let's call Daryl. Daryl will be our like anonymous gay person name. And you're just like, hey Daryl, it's 11 and now I know it's a little late, but you remember me? You don't. I had a Batman. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Well, I'm kind of looking for a place to stay. Oh yeah, you say you need a new sugar baby. I'll be your sugar. You can be my sugar daddy.
The full fist. Does it have to be the full fist? Can we start? All right, start with 2 fingers. We'll work our way to the full fist. All right, is it tight? Is it tight? Is it tight? Okay, all right, but okay, you can wear the boots. But all right, I'll see you in 10 minutes.
No, but look on Craigslist when you go there. Look up sugar daddy. That's what people do.
I saw. Well, look on Craigslist
because a sugar daddy, it's all you are. It's kind of like you're just there. It's actually.
I understand the concept.
The concept of sugar daddy and sugar mamas is really like the saddest thing ever because all it is, it's like guys
and this dude could do better.
They're like in their 40s. It's just the most loneliest kind of thing ever because it's like one of those ones like, all I ever wanted was a nice, sexy young friend. And it's like as a wife, no, just as a friend, and I'll buy her things.
Everybody's sad when they're British.
Be like Wallaby.
No, but that was well, that's one thing. I couldn't do it because I feel like I'm leading this guy on. B, it's probably not exactly the most grandest profession to have. It feels like, oh, I get free shit, but at the same time, I think there is a little bit of soul crushing. B, this guy, or C, this guy, he's a good looking guy. He could probably get someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the day before the interview, and it all panned out. But I want to say, I'm regarding.
And then you go to the interview and you realize it's that guy's there interviewing you.
He was like, if I didn't get the job because
you didn't call him.
Yeah. No, but. Going to say this real quick before we go. So on Craigslist, I was looking for a place. I was looking for something in my price range. It said free rent. I'm just like, I gotta know what this is. I just click on it. The guy's like, just so blatantly like, 20-something-year-old guy willing to let you live here for free. Has to be a girl, somewhere in her 20s, open-minded. Send me a picture. So that's what it was. Like, wow. I guess there's a spot for anything.
That's a great site for comedy.
Yeah,
you get things like that. It just makes you laugh.
You could do like really a show about Craigslist.
You could just get your story.
Why the fuck are we saying this on air? We didn't say that. We didn't say that. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't say that on the air. But no. But anyway, we're gonna try and do a bunch of podcasts this week. Let them span out. So in the meantime, you could possibly look for someone else in case the phone thing doesn't work out. And eventually, not right away, but eventually I'm going to try and start up a podcast of my own. Not be like, I'm going to rival your podcast, Spencer, but I just like it too much to stop doing it.
I know, that's the thing about being podcasting. It's just like one of those ones that's like, well, if you're moving down there, I'm not stopping if that's what you're wanting.
And I don't blame you. I'm not being kind of like...
Hey, that's what I got.
I'm not being like, the show stops without me. I'm not trying to be like that. Like everybody gets sad when they're British, but yeah. So we'll find a way to either if this is the end of our podcast or of me on the podcast, and whatever, it was a nice run. But if not, it'd be cool to keep it going. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We got 2 weeks still.
Yeah, and who knows? You might only be in San Francisco for a month or two.
Oh, don't fucking say that. Before your dreams totally shatter and go to shit.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you this. I live in San Francisco.
I know.
It's not the most amazing place. It is what it is, and, you know, it's really expensive, and there is video game jobs there, but, you know...
I just think it takes something different.
I know you've never went anywhere, so it's your magical mystery tour.
It is my magical mystery.
You know, and it's like, I'm like, one's like, I've been to places before. I know what they got.
You just walk in, you're like, fuck y'all.
I've seen some things before.
You just walk in like, fuck y'all know about death.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck y'all know about SF.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I guess that's the podcast for the week.
So, you know. Yeah, make sure to check out oldmanorange.com for all things Old Man Orange. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. And then if you're going to buy something from Amazon or GameStop, go to our oldmanorange.com page, click on the Amazon link or the GameStop one. It won't cost you anything, but at least it kind of gives us a little fuel for the fire here.
And do what you can for Premarital Death so they can get into
Yes,
Warped Tour.
yes.
Vote for them. You can vote
If
as
you're
many
on Old
times
Man
as you
Orange,
want.
buy something on Amazon, look at one of our videos, and then click on the Premarital Death thing. It's on the blog. It's right up there. Go to their thing. Vote them up on the Vans Warped Tour 2014 Battle of the Bands. Give them a listen if you don't know what they are. Go back. I think it's podcast 103 or something like that if you want to listen to what they sound like voice-wise, and there's a tune or two on there. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.